Hello everyone, we are Group 8 and we are going to talk about the design, simulation and comparison of a hydration impeller in a tank without baffles and with baffles. In this case, we will present a brief introduction about the hydration impeller. Later, we will talk about the objective of the project, the previous calculation, the design, the mesh independence, the implement models, the results, the comparative analysis, and the conclusion. The hydration and mixing are basic operations used in process engineering. To improve the hydration process, tools such as a diffuser and baffles are used to improve the hydration process. The detailers can be divided into two groups. The first consists of the design that generate currents parallel to impeller axis, which are called axial flow impeller. The second group consists of the agitators that generate currents in radial direction, which are called radial flow impellers. The main objective of this project is to determine what is the effect of implementing baffles in a hydration tank. For this, it was divided into three parts. First, simulate a hydration impeller without baffles. 2. Simulate a hydration impeller with baffles. 3. Compare the performance of the hydration impeller in a tank with and without baffles. For this case, the Autodesk Inventor software was used, in which the geometry of the impeller and tank was designed according to the previously calculated dimension. The type of impeller that was designed in this case was the turbine with inclined blades. The impeller is effective for a wide range of viscosity. In addition, in low viscosity liquids, this impeller generates strong currents that are distributed around the tank. Finally, the main currents are radial and tangential, the latter inducing the formation of vortices.
Calculation for dimensions. The calculation done in order to compute the steering time measure were obtained from the diameter of the impeller. The latter were gotten from theoretical data collected from different sources, including impeller power. Since the steering tank used in the presented dynamic is standard, dimensions were obtained using no relation for that type of tank in the presented slide. Those values can be found and retrieved. Those include impeller diameter, fluid height, diameter, and baffle length.
For the mesh independence, we use three values by size. Three values of 0.05, 0.03, 0.02. We obtain values for the cells, for the computational time, for the NP, and we have NP literature number. So each one values are very near, and we obtain a percent of error to each one of the base size values. The percent error is around of the 0.05. For the meshing models and physics, we use steady, turbulence suppression, cell quality remediation, gravity, all-way pulse wall treatment, wall distance, key omega turbulence, constant density, segregated flow, gravity, liquid plane layers mesh, polyradical mesh, 3D-dimensional solution interpolation. The steady model assumes that the different properties stay constant all the time. The turbulent model is more appropriate for this topic process at the higher speed like the one that was established for the proposal. The segregated flow model, since the density of the substance present in the simulation did not suffer or were prone to harsh value fluctuation. This option was more convenient than a coupled flow. The omega model is the model by excellence to simulate flow characters in turbulent and turbulence environments. Gravity is considered the gravitational pull that the Earth exerts over the fluid and device chosen is in order to make it more realistic. Three-dimension models tend to be more accurate when compared to two-dimension models. Unliquid, both fluids were on a liquid state or at least on had a behavior that could be compared to that of a liquid. For the reference values, we use a control value for the base size of 0.02 meters to the number of print layers 5 and print layer total thickness 4%.
After the meshing process was done, the following set of meshes were obtained. It can be seen that there is a higher density of shells in the region surrounding the rotating area. This can help to get a more accurate view of the nature of the fluid in this critical zone. The simulations helped to obtain power number and pumping number values, which are fundamental to understand the nature of the tank, the impeller, and the steering process. There were some discrepancies among the data, which can be attributed to the incapability of the turbulence models to completely fit the internal dynamics of each Reynolds phase. Here we can see the wall-wide placines for different Reynolds values. We can see that they are in general stable and show a favorable behavior, although some distortion can be seen in the lower region of the blades. This is natural since the diagonal disposition of those blades will generate a stronger reaction of movement from the fluid. However, this variation is not a big deal since those values are still inside the 1 to 5 range. The cell quality scenes for the different simulations let us observe that in general, the obtained mesh was quite reliable and had a good quality. This means that the former reference values were appropriate for the nature of the simulations. Then we see the velocity magnitude scenes, which are like the most explanatory of the bunch. It can be clearly seen in each one of those that the bafflet tanks helps to reduce the stronger vortices present in the upper region of the impeller. These vortices are one of the main reasons of the existence of those baffles, since they help to break that generates those violet movements, helping to preserve the integrity of the tanks. This vortex usually sucks bubbles of air into the fluid, which will eventually generate cavitation. It is almost unavoidable, but it's clear that the whirlpools have a reduced impact on the tanks that contain baffles. Then, in the following figures, the power number for each Reynolds value showcase for both the CFD and theoretical values. For lower Reynolds, it can be seen that discrepancies are strong, while for the upper velocities, the deviation tends to soften since the turbulence model chosen tends to capture better those velocities, those high velocities. Finally, comparison for the pumping number between the baffle and unbaffled tanks can be seen. The pumping number tends to be higher for the baffled tank at lower Reynolds values, but then it stabilizes at upper values.
Conclusions. The vector velocity signs are quick revealing signs whirlpools and vortex can be observed in the upper region of the unbaffled tank. This will usually signify that air bubbles may mix with the fluid and flow towards the center of the impeller, and this can be an important source of cavitation. The baffled tank greatly reduces this phenomenon and may be more convenient when compared to unbaffled tanks. Second, higher velocity can be observed in the tips of the blade, and by momentum transfer they can also be observed in the fluid nearby to those. This velocity can be usually made rather when used pushed against the impeller. This is consistent with the design's impeller, which also follows this nature theory. The nature of the power number and pumping number obtained by CFD is generally consistent with what they expected with this montage. However, small discrepancies can be observed when compared to theoretical values. This can be easily explained in science, choosing physical models could not always fit the nature of the internal dynamics of the fluid, and it was limited to a specific range of Reynolds values. Short discrepancies can be found at lower Reynolds values, and impeller velocity may be way too slow for the CFD suite to properly models. Thanks for your attention.